Hi everyone, I've got an authentication video for you today and I'm going to do it on one of the bags that I always get asked, like probably the most out of everything, to help authenticate, which is the Louis Vuitton Speedy Bag. And I've deliberately chosen the Monogram canvas as well because this is the finish that I get asked the most about as well. But this bag actually comes in a number of different canvases, a number of different finishes, leathers, etc. So if you have any questions about any specific different kind of finish than this, then I'll link my website down below. You can have a look through all the information, all the services that I provide, and you can ask me questions as well and I'll do what I can to help. So this bag was actually introduced in the 1930s, or a version of this bag anyway, by Louis Vuitton's son George. And it's kind of developed a bit over the years and been introduced in lots of different styles, lots of different seasonal finishes, and is still kind of, well, it's still a knit bag, isn't it? It's still the kind of bag that everybody wants to have in their collection. And it actually comes in 4 different sizes. So this particular one is the 30, but it also comes in a smaller size, a 25. It comes in 2 larger sizes as well, 35 and 40. And all the number means really is the measurement from this side of the bag to the other side of the bag. So in this case, from there to there, we'll measure 30 centimetres. One of the first things that I do to check if it's authentic is check the font on the little bag tab here. So this will always have Louis Vuitton Paris and then where it's made stamped into the leather. And I always check the font. So on the font, the L should have a small kind of leg to it on the bottom. The O's should be extra rounded and not oval. And everything should line up in a straight line. The T's are also almost touching as well on Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton Paris should all be in uppercase, and where it's made should be in lowercase, apart from obviously the country, which starts with a capital letter. If we flip this up as well, on this particular style, it should have the number of the bag stamped underneath, so I don't know if you can just see the 30 stamped under there. Now, in older bags, this might have worn off, so don't be too concerned if you can't see it, but if it is a newer bag that you're looking at, then you know you should be able to see it, and I think in most cases it should be visible there. The next thing that I look at is the vachetta leather. This is on all of the canvases apart from the Damier Ebene, which has a darker coated leather, and all vachetta means is untreated leather, so it's rawhide leather. And over time this will oxidise with the oils in your hands, with the external environment, the way it's stored, the environment it's stored in. Lots of things can contribute to the coloration of the leather. And over time it will go to a really dark colour, so it'll go amber kind of over a few years, and then say you have it for 20 years and you use it extensively, it will eventually go like a really, really dark brown colour. But no vachetta leather is the same, so you could have 2 bags that you buy at the exact same time and use them in the exact same way. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will colour at the same time or even necessarily in the same places. So it's something to watch out for. But a lot of the fakes don't actually use vachetta leather. They'll use normal leather and just colour it or dye it the light colour that these bags are when they're first new. And over time those bags won't oxidise. So if I know how old the bag is, or if I can guess how old the bag is, I can pretty much guess roughly how it should have worn. And in this particular case, this bag hasn't been used too much. It's from 2011, this bag, and you can see it has just started to go a bit of a golden colour on the top handles here where it's been held, and also on the tab at the end that's gone a bit of a darker colour as well. So that's one thing that we can check. The next thing that I check is actually the tabs themselves here. So if you look at the stitching, it's in a kind of like yellowy kind of colour. It's not quite a mustard colour, it's brighter than that. And on a lot of the fakes this is quite often like a neon kind of coloured yellow, which is obviously not very nice. So I'll show you a little bit closer there. And then on the backs of the handles this should be red. And again, it should be quite like a bright red. It shouldn't be like a neon red or like a burgundy red. So I'll try and show you that as well. And the stitching should all be very neat. So you can see here, it's all very neat, and it's all almost like on a diagonal, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if you can see. It's not stitched straight, it's stitched on a slant. And the threads really shouldn't kind of be like unpicked or like fraying or coming out or anything like that. But obviously, you know, so in some cases bags can be faulty, but it's just something to look out for. And then in your pre-2012 bags, on the tabs, it should have 5 stitches going across the top, 4 stitches going down there, and 5 stitches down towards the bottom. On the pre-2012 bags, they have actually changed that. So as long as your bag's date code, and I'll talk about that in a moment, as long as the bag's date code corresponds with after 2012, it should be fine. The next thing that I look at is the monogram itself. So I'll start with this side. So the monogram should be symmetrical. So if we've got a full fleur-de-lis on this side, on that line, then we should also have a full fleur-de-lis on the other side. It shouldn't be cut off, or it shouldn't be a different shape or anything like that. It also should be symmetrical. So whatever we have should be the exact same on the other side, and also going diagonally as well. It should be the exact same pattern with the exact same routine. One of the questions I always get asked about the monogram canvas is why, if it's upside down, then it can't be authentic. That's actually wrong. Because these bags are made from a continuous piece of canvas, so I'll just show you, all the way down, all the way round, all the way to the bottom, it does mean that when you turn it round from being upright to the other side, obviously it's going to be upside down because it's being used one continuous piece of canvas. So it is actually, it can be authentic if it's got an upside down canvas. Also, on the bottom there's no feet, there's no seams, nothing like that. It is literally just the saggy canvas, and that's what makes the bag saggy when you use it as well. And I know some people don't like that. If you don't like that, what I would suggest you use is a liner in the bag, because that'll just give the bag a bit of structure. Or you could go for the bandolier, which is the version of the Speedy with the strap, the over the body strap, because they have sewn in kind of more structure here and here on the sides, which gives the bag a little bit more of a bit more shape. The next thing that I will look at is inside the bag. So inside the bag there will be a little pocket on one side. In the pre-2012 bags this is like this, so it doesn't have a zip, it's just got a little opening, and on the inside there it's like a plastic coating. In the post-2012 bags it's actually a zip, so they've actually changed it to the same style as the bandolier is inside, which is a zip pull pocket. Also to note, I should have mentioned this before, on the tabs, on the post-2012 bags, these are actually a lot puffier now, whereas on the pre-2012 bags it lays flat to the bag, which you can hopefully see here. And just on the inside as well, if we pop the little pouchy up, you can see the date codes underneath there on the left hand side. And the date codes are they are quite easy to figure out once you know what you're doing. So the date code to date, from 2007 to date, should be made up of 2 letters, which is the factory code that the bag was manufactured in. The first letter and the third letter relate to the week number that the bag was made, and the third letter and the fourth letter number relate to the year that the bag was made. So in this particular instance it says 3171. All that means is 37, so that was the week that it was made, the week 37, and 11 is the year, so 2011. Post 2007 they would follow the same format, but the first and third number would relate to the month that the bag was made. So 04, for example, would be April. And before that, so in the late 80s, it used to be 3 numbers. The first number would be the month, and the second 2 numbers would be the year. So 885, for example, would be August 1985, and they would have 2 letters at the end, which would be the factory code. And then before that, in the early 80s, when the date codes were first introduced, it was literally just the 3 numbers, so the month, and the 2 numbers following that would be the year. Before 1980, these bags didn't have date codes. So if you're looking at a vintage bag, you won't have a date code on it. The next thing that I'll look at is the hardware, so the lock and key. So all Speedy bags come with a lock and key, and if you can look at the stamping on that, it's very, very clean and very, very crisp. And also on the back there it will say Louis Vuitton Paris, and then on the bottom it will have a number, and that number corresponds with the keys, which I have here. And if we look, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I don't know how good my camera is, but yeah, if you look at the numbers on the keys, I don't know if you can see that, it's got the exact same number, so I know that these keys match that lock. And then the final thing that I wanted to just show you is the dust bag. So there's two different dust bags, depending on the age of the bag that you might have with your bag, and for the more recent one, the current one that they're using now, is this kind of beigey colour, which has a kind of navy blue, almost black, but not quite black lettering on the top. And this is like an envelope style, but I know they do dust bag styles as well, but this particular one for the Speedy is an envelope style one. And then the older one, which I think is about pre-2011, is a darker beige, so it's this kind of colour. Oops, sorry, I've got it the wrong way around. This kind of colour with a kind of like browny coloured font for the LV logo in the middle. And again, this particular one is an envelope style. And that does it. So hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If so, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, there'll be more of these kind of videos coming your way. I'm going to link my website down below for my authentication services that I can provide, and if you want to have a look at those, then feel free. And thanks for listening. I hope it's been helpful. See you later.